So I just moved into a new apartment, um, like 2 days after Thanksgiving. When I first moved to Nebraska, I live in a small town called Friend. The population there is like four, maybe 500 at best. Everyone knows everyone, you know, almost anything that you do, doesn't go unnoticed. There's only two police officers for the whole town or the whole village, I guess. So then I moved in with my landlord was doing some illegal stuff. I I technically had every single right to sue this guy, but didn't want to deal with the trouble. Didn't want to deal with the headache and the legal jargon and all that stuff. So my old coworker pitched an idea, and he wanted me to move in with him and his wife. Um Big mistake, but there's always a lesson to be learned about that. And then my other former coworker wanted me to move in with his wife and his kids. So I did, and stayed there until Thanksgiving. I had Thanksgiving with them, and 2 days later, I moved to another town called York. York is it's like a medium sized town, it has a truck stop, has a Walmart, a Chinese buffet, an AutoZone, $2 stores, a bunch of gas stations, um, a bowling alley, um, a lot of a little more options. Actually, a lot more options than what I had when I moved to Friend. Only thing that Friend had was like a gas station and a Mexican restaurant right around the corner. But that's besides the point. Um, Living in Nebraska, you know, admittedly, and I hate to admit this, but um, it's been lonely. You know, I miss my friends in Connecticut. Put a pin on that. Put a pin on that. But I miss my friends in Connecticut, and I miss my mom. She's moved to Jamaica with her husband and good looking dude. Like no homo, but good looking dude. Um, Connecticut is like It's like the military or an abusive relationship. You know, you miss the clowns, but not the circus. And Connecticut's definitely a circus. You know, I almost forgot that they charge you like 5 or 10 cents for paper and plastic bags. You know, it's one of those out of sight, out of mind things that you forget, but you know, everything kind of adds up if you think about it. So, um, but digressing though, like I've been, I've been extremely lonely out here. You know, all I ever did was work and sleep, play video games, watch porn, and you know, the cycle repeats. No matter where you move, there's always going to be some sort of pro and con to where you move. You know, you just gotta make the right choice to do that. You know, I have one friend out here, and I'm using I'm using that word very loosely. You know, because in my opinion, you know, and I'm a little guilty of it too, but I never forget. You know, and there's 24 hours in a day. You know, and it takes literally 10, maybe 30 seconds out of your day, assuming if you have trouble seeing, you know, if you're like nearsighted, farsighted, or partially blind or something like that, you know, just to say, hello, how's your day? What's going on? You know, and you don't know what is precious to you until that person is gone. You know, admittedly, you know, I had my own opinions about my family, my sister, my mom, but you know, over time I sat down and you know, I realized you only get one. And I hear stories and vicariously witness bad relationship with parents, and you know, the relationship with my mom is not bad, and you know, I love her a lot. And out of all the women that I met in my life, you know, my mom has been there the most. She's done the most, you know. I'm gonna I'm gonna be perfectly honest. Like if I had a nice house and all that stuff, you know, she's living with me rent free, all that stuff, you know, because I love my mom, and you know, part of that reason is why I want to go back to Connecticut. But pushing all that aside, you know, when you have your own, I can't speak for everyone, you know, I'm only speaking for myself, but when you have your own place and you have a close circle of friends or no friends, it gives you time to think on the reality of things, you know? Like hypothetically, if I get arrested right now, who's going to bond me out? The only person that I could think of is my mom, you know? If a civil war broke out or a zombie apocalypse, you know, like I think the only person that I can rely on during those circumstances is my mom. And when you work at a new job or you move to a new apartment, you know, those people that you work with, those people that you are neighbors with, are just existing in the state of being in existence. Because directly or indirectly, we're all doing the same thing: work, go home. I guess having a friend is a luxury. Even having a family of your own is a luxury. I mean, you know, it baffles me that, never mind, that's, I ain't gonna touch on that, but but I'm alone out here, you know. I've got I've got nothing. And I guess this is the time for me to reevaluate my life again for the, I guess you could say, the fourth or maybe fifth time in my whole entire life. You know, stop taking the easy road and just, you know, do your best to get over those challenges that you come across. You know, after I graduated high school, Hampton High School, home of the Dragons, birthplace of the champions, baby. um, you know, I moved to West Haven, and then I went to, you know, Gateway Community College. And, you know, when I first went to college, I took it very seriously. And then, you know, I realized that everything you done in high school, you have to do in college again for the first 2 years. And then after those 2 years, then you could study and learn a degree that you actually want to do for a career, which makes no sense to me. And then I'm like, that's my first life assessment, and I'm like, why spend all this money learning something when I could just get money now? And I took the easy road, dropped out, and that's when I met this guy named Charles Butler. Rest in peace, man. Like, I miss that guy, like, dearly. So dearly. Now, Charles Butler is a neighbor. He is that's the true definition. That's the true definition of a neighbor. Someone who's willing to talk with you and just have a good time, man. You know. But that aside, Charles, he gave me so much advice. You know, I still take heart and deep consideration of his teachings till this day. This guy, he made it. He made it. And what I mean by that is he made money and never had to leave his house and worry about a promotion or getting fired or finding his next meal, and his wife is a whole entire nurse, and he had an excellent son, smart kid. Like, he lived the American dream, and he gave me the advice to live that American dream. I just need a little more guidance and help to eventually get there, but Rome wasn't built in a day. So then my third, life-changing reflection was joining the military. And then after the military, I tried to go back to school again. Didn't get the GI Bill, so those were years wasted in the military that I can't get back, but it's still a rewarding experience that I would definitely do again if I wasn't so defective as the military says it. So number 5, I guess. I lost track, but the fifth, self-reflection, life reflection is focusing on yourself, going back to school, and again, instead of taking the easy road, just take those challenges that come before you, and try to beat those challenges, conquer it. Because out here, going back to the beginning, out here, I realized that I have no one but myself. Like, I'm not perfect. I admitted my flaws. I accepted accountability. I try to move on from my past self, and I'm not naming names, but other people or another person said that they would leave the past to itself and focus on the future. And I can only assume that that statement that she said was a whole entire lie, because um, she's not talking to me, you know, not telling me how she feels, which she's her own person, but a little bit of respect goes a long way. I'm not perfect. Yeah, I fat shamed. I did. You know, um, she said that I cheated. Me personally, in my opinion, I never did. Yeah, we lived with each other, but I made it perfectly clear that we weren't together. So, and even though we weren't together, and I did what I did, she still says that I'm cheating, but that's here nor there. You know, um, Regardless of the facts, how I went about things wasn't professional. So, yeah, she has every right to be angry. And I have every right to be angry too. But I try to be an adult and not let anger consume me. I can only assume that she's seeing someone else, but she's her own person, so I do admittedly, I do love her. I do. Like, I don't think she has I don't think she has an idea on how much I love her. I said some bad things. I've done some bad things. And whether she wants to admit it or not, you know, not to sound sexist, but women, they don't really like to take accountability like that, but but still, she's said and done some things that were pretty hurtful too. But after all that, out of everything, you know, I still love her and I would marry her. Yeah. And that's, aside from my mom and my friends, that's another reason why, I would go back to Connecticut, is to see her again and her dog. Man, I love that dog. I've met some dogs, but I love that dog. Seeing her you know, seeing her read my messages and me reaching out and flat out ignoring me is another reason that, there's been some self-reflection and realizing that, I gotta, focus on myself and try to better myself. And again, face challenges that come along my way, and stop trying to take the easy road. you know another reason why I moved out here to Nebraska is because um the police standards in Connecticut are, to become a police officer there and to be a firefighter and to be an EMT or paramedic is a lot harder than all other places in the United States. And I know that because I've done my research. And to be a cop in Nebraska, it's definitely like 20 to maybe 30% easier than it is in Connecticut. Same thing with Virginia, West Virginia, um, Texas, uh, Arkansas, Kansas, North Dakota, North Dakota and South Dakota. You know, so I figure that if I come out here, then I could probably chase my dreams a little bit easier. Part of the self-reflection is realizing that sometimes the easy way is not the best way, because here I am still trying and not getting accepted. Um so that's why I figure that as much as, because man, there's college debt, and I don't want that. It's unnecessary. It's really unnecessary. But it seems like that's the only option, and I guess that's okay. It's a trade-off, I guess. I'm still having trouble if I want to go to North Dakota and take flight lessons. I've always wanted to be a pilot. I'm sure I mentioned this before, but there was a teacher when I lived in Massachusetts. There was a teacher. His name was Herb. Um, Mr. Shasukitz, but he wanted us to call him Herb. And we had a reading group, and he introduced us to this book called Born to Fly by Shane Osborne. And the things he told me about what Herb told me, the things about what he went through in Vietnam and how he was a pilot, and then what Shane Osborne did, because Herb was a pilot for the Air Force and Shane Osborne was a pilot for the Navy. And here I am thinking like man, I gotta fly too. So I could go to North Dakota and and go to flight school out there, or I could stay local and get a nursing degree, become a traveling nurse, where various hospitals pay you to work at their hospital for X amount of weeks or months, and you could go back home, or you could continue the contract, or I could be a lawyer. Uh, because when I lived in Massachusetts, my teacher was Herb, and then when I moved back to Connecticut, I went to Hartford High School, and I had a teacher there. Her name was Miss Allison, and you know, she was a lawyer. Now that I'm thinking about it, how do you become a lawyer than a teacher? But I guess there's always a backstory and the reasons behind it. But she inspired me to be a lawyer, and with all these, with all these people being, wrongfully, convicted, and then you have, divorce lawyers and child support lawyers, and rental lawyers and injury lawyers. um I think as a lawyer I could probably make a difference, um but I'm also going to need some help with that, because I can't fight that battle on my own. um but there's definitely people out there that that should get some help when when they don't have the physical means to help. you know Holy shit, my hair is long. It's down to my nose. um yeah, I got some things to do. I gotta definitely go back to the drawing board again.